with my timing. I don't know if someone's just walking through the door right now. Hold on. I have great timing today. Earlier today I had Oreo, and then Oreo interrupted my stream. One moment. Hey, I'm doing a stream right now.
You look like a ninja.
Huh? I look like a ninja?
You dress like a ninja.
A ninja? You think
have
so?
black hair, black shirt, black pants, and I'm pretty sure you have black socks or shoes, don't you? Never mind.
No,
Okay.
no, I don't.
So your
No.
feet would give it away. You would not be able to burglarize the trace.
Okay. So anyway, hopefully this will be a pretty short stream. We will see. So I was thinking about loss today, and I was thinking back on my friend Jordan. I shared with you guys earlier about him. He was that person that I had met him in college. We had a college class together. He was this person who was incredibly smart. Now, when I talk about incredibly smart, he took master level classes when he was a freshman in college. And his brain was like no other. So he wanted to be in the field of neuroscience, and he was studying about neuroscience. In fact, he was so fixated on this stuff. He was like researching about one of those like injectable drugs you can take to make your brain better. I don't know. Like I remember he was telling me there was something about like pig's brain, and you inject it in your butt or something like that, or on your buttocks or something like that, and it's supposed to make you really smart.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
No. What? No. But it's like I don't know what it is, but it's some kind of like it's some sort of thing that's supposed to make your brain much smarter. Anyway, even though he was a really smart guy, and he was a friendly guy, the only issue is that he did not dress well. So he wore like a size small, but he wore a shirt that was, I think, like a large. So imagine this skinny guy wearing a large shirt that was way too baggy. He had these like big jeans, way too baggy jeans. He wore slippers with that. So oversized shirt, oversized jeans, slippers. Just baggy. I mean, just baggy, just like bummy looking. And as a result of that, his confidence wasn't the best. So I helped him. I gave him a makeover. His confidence went up, and then he became cocky. Now, I didn't have anything really against the cockiness, but I just don't want to be around people like that. You know, people who feel like they can use their looks to make other people like you know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like he was getting cocky, so I stopped talking to him. I didn't wish him any ill will or anything. After we stopped talking, he ended up getting a full ride scholarship. And then later on, I found out he got into like a school of medicine in Hawaii. He texted me one day out of the blue. He wanted to talk. He told me, he said something along the lines that he married a lawyer, and he came out of the closet. He married a lawyer, but he's continuing his own thing. He would like to talk to me online, and I said sure. But then I didn't really use that online account so much, so I was there for a day, and then I completely forgot about it. He didn't call me up or anything. I didn't reach out to him, and that was just kind of the end of it. So it was like kind of the thing where it's like he didn't reach out to me, I didn't reach out to him, and then I just thought like, we'll just go our own separate ways, no biggie. Now, what I didn't know is that after that time that he reached out to me, his husband ended up passing away. Now, even though he was a lawyer, he wasn't a rich lawyer. So I guess I think that he met him through a class or something like that. That was his professor, but I'm not too sure. But anyway, he fell in love with the guy. The guy passed away. The lawyer husband passed away, and he moved back in with his parents, and he was so distraught. It sounded like he had some sort of mental breakdown, and his parents kicked him out partially because of the mental breakdown, but also allegedly it also had to do with the fact that they were against him being gay. So he gets kicked out, and then I guess he sort of couch surfers or so. He gets a girlfriend, and then because he still has issues and he's dealing with grief with his his husband who passed away. Long story short, he had a lot of emotional problems. And I think it all kind of went downhill after his husband died. So he got involved with mixing prescriptions, it sounded like, along with alcohol. And he was going down a slippery slope. He ended up having to get like, he ended up getting found unconscious. He had to go to the hospital, had to have like some sort of 5150, and that's like an involuntary. They kept him overnight, looked at him, and his girlfriend was so overwhelmed by this that she decided to ask for his keys back. So he became effectively homeless because he didn't have, he got kicked out from his parents' home. His girlfriend kicked him out. He ended up going to his car and he overdosed somehow, and he passed away. I don't really know the exact details, but he was found in his car and he overdosed. Now, when I look back at his, what happened with his downward spiral, I went to the memorial and I asked people. I said, what happened? And they were talking to me. Some people talked to me. Like the girlfriend reached out to me and she said, "Oh, yeah, Jordan was talking about you." And I said, "Well, what did he say?" And she said, "Oh, he said that you helped him out in his life and you gave him a makeover." And she encouraged him to reach out to me, but I guess, because I like kind of sort of blew him off that other time, he didn't want to reach out to me again. And it's one of those things that I kind of wish like I spoke to him, but then the other part of me is just like I didn't think anything of it. I just thought like he was reaching out to me, no big deal. This was when he reached out to me directly, this is when his husband was still alive. So when after his husband passed away and he was dealing with all these issues, I guess he told her about me, and she could see that he was going down a decline of sorts, but he didn't want to reach out to me, even though I live a 5-minute walk away from where he passed away. I had absolutely no idea. It was crazy. So I think what happened was he was in a huge state of grief because his husband died, and it's a lot to take in. I've never lost a spouse. I've never lost a partner, but I can imagine that he had so much vested into this person, and when that person passed away, he felt like his whole life got shattered, and he went down a downward spiral. He had some he had some sort of psychological break or some sort of anxiety. I don't know what it happened, but his parents ended up kicking him out as a result of that. And what I'm trying to say is this: if someone passes away, you're going to have a lot of grief that you're going to go through, maybe anger too, depending on how they passed away, or if it was like someone timely death or tragic, something maybe it had to do with their own hand, or maybe it was preventable death. You cannot allow yourself to just go down on a deep down spiral, because when I think about it, I don't think Jordan's husband wanted him to fall apart like that. I really don't think that. I think people who are in love wish the best for each other, and if one partner passes away or they know they're dying, they're going to wish that the surviving partner leads a healthy, long, fulfilling life. And what happened with Jordan was, because he was so consumed by the grief, I think he went down this downward spiral, and it's just like his life went down and down and down. And the dangerous thing about depression is this: sometimes when you get so deep down in, it's like you don't see the light, so you go from one mess up to another mess up to another mess up, and then you get to a point where you just give up on life. And when you give up on life, that is an absolutely, terrible freaking thing. You need to get help. I highly encourage, if anyone has depression, or they're struggling with some issues, or they feel like the sense of hopelessness, or they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, get help. Because I have lost people in my life because they have done this kind of stuff. And I can tell you, like, these people, if they passed away early, it haunts me. It still haunts me. I know every person who passed away an untimely death because of their own hand, and I still think about them a lot, because I think to myself, what could have been, what could have happened if they just hung in there. Or I think about their past potential with Jordan. He was if someone asked me like, Erica, who do you think would have changed the world immensely, I would have put my bet on Jordan, because he had such a brilliant mind. He was so hyper focused. He was that kind of person that whatever he put his mind to, he would go above and beyond. And that kind of mind I have, it's just so I thought he was in a really good place, but because of loss, he lost his footing, and I think he just went downwards and downwards and downwards. The Jordan that I knew, and I asked people this at the memorial service, I asked them, eh, how was he towards the end, and they told me that he was remarkably different. So the Jordan that I had spoken to was a lot different than the Jordan that he became, and I saw some old photos of him before he passed away, and I look at him and I could tell just based on his appearance, it didn't look like he respected himself. And that's the other dangerous thing too about depression, because sometimes when people feel like crap, then they start not taking care of themselves. They start, let's say, gaining weight, or they start losing weight. They look a little disheveled. They look like uh, they look like they're so trapped in their head. Um, let's see. Yeah, so they get so trapped in their head that they forget about themselves. And then I think when they look in the mirror, they say like, man, I feel like crap, I look like crap, therefore my life is crap, or my life is worthless. And I don't I think it's something that really needs to be get out. I don't think that someone can be an Yeah, I think no, I think that people can get out of those dark times. I know people who have been in really dark times. There have been times that people gave me a call and they told me that they were ready to just end it all. And then I speak to them, and it sounds for them it's like they're going through some really tough times, and they just like lose hope. So sometimes when people have really dark thoughts, it goes from a thing like a little it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So something that you would think that a person could get over if they just give it time, it just turns into a huge thing. They get overwhelmed, and their only thought is to just take a permanent solution, because in their mind they think that they can't overcome a hurdle. Now the thing about life is that life is not all just heart, stars, and rainbows, for sure. Life has bumps and curves. We lose people, but we lose people in our life, we gain people in our life. But when people pass away because of their own hand, that to me is just very, very traumatic. And for people who are thinking those thoughts, I know that it's hard to communicate to people like, hey, think about what you're doing, think about the the thoughts, think about what the impact of your family is. But I believe that what they think through is that they're so hyper focused on their pain, and that they don't see any other way, because they think the pain is so great within them. So they just want to get rid of the pain, or they think that they are such a heavy weight to other people because of their issues, or because of they have some sort of thing that happened to them that was traumatic, that they just don't want to um, they just don't want to bother other people. So I've heard about that thing as well. So it's but people who are in a deep dark place, they definitely can change it around. I know people who are really dark. I had to talk them down, and it got to a point where it's like someone called me up. They told me that they felt a certain way, and I didn't know where they were. So I was freaking out because I was at work during that time, and I was like, "Where are you? Let me know where you are, and then I can go to you, because the last thing I want." And it's very terrifying when you hear this kind of thing. It's very terrifying when someone calls you up and they are what you perceive to be possibly minutes away from doing something that's permanent, and you're the only freaking lifeline. So it's very anxiety inducing. And I've spoken to some people who just tell me like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing that kind of stuff, and it's scary. But thankfully, the two people that did reach out to me that told me that they were, they had some really dark thoughts in my head, those two people, and they were about to, when they're thinking about doing it, they are living a much better life right now. 100%. They're in a great relationship. They're happy. They're different people, and all they had to do was really hold on. And yeah, all they had to do was hold on. Life is a really dark. Life can be really dark at times, and life is not happy all the time. But I think sometimes when we go through those dark places and then we see the happy places, we're able to see kind of how far we've come. And all we have, and all I think about, because I've been through some really dark places in my life, really freaking dark. I've sought the help of a therapist, which helped me immensely. Um, the thing that helped me is that I just believed that there was going to be something better. And I realized that the best thing for someone who is depressed to do is just make sure that they whatever is, like, if they lose someone and that's causing their depression, just think, like, would that person want them to be the way they are? Again, most people, in my opinion, if someone has an untimely death, like a spouse passes away, the dead spouse would not want the surviving spouse to just kind of languish away, gain a bunch of weight, lose a bunch of weight. They would want this person to be happy. They would want this person to carry on. And the best way to carry on someone's memory is to keep them in mind and move forward. So if, for instance, if Jordan's husband if when Jordan's husband passed away, I'm sure he might have said something that said, hey, I love you, I support you, I wish the best for you. Or, he would have had this kind of idea that his husband supported him. So if whatever dreams Jordan had, if he had said, okay, I know my husband passed away and I'm going to work through it, but I know my husband would want me to do this or continue whatever my passion is. If Jordan had gone forward with that energy and with that loss and said, okay, I'm going to do what my husband wanted, or I'm going to do what my husband supported me in doing, then I believe that Jordan would have had a completely, I think Jordan would have been alive today, but he just got so wrapped up in the depression, and it's completely understandable. It's completely understandable getting lost in that depression. I have been depressed for extended periods of my life. And when I'm talking about I'm talking like years in my life. It's just like a dark hole, and then you just feel like you feel like crap, you look like crap, you don't care about yourself as much, and then you see other people who are in a better place, and then it's just like, oh yeah, they're in a better place, and you just feel like crap. So yeah, what if don't have a place other than words, but yeah, lots of yeah. And I think that this is going to sound harsh, but I think that it's important that people who are dealing with loss remember that the dead would be would be encouraging them to move forward. And I've repeated myself before, but I hold on to that thought. The worst thing you can do is if you have someone who you love, like a partner, right? If you have a partner or someone close to you that you spend extended period of time with, and if they pass away, the worst thing you can do is just kind of get in your head, let yourself go, because whatever hopes and dreams that person had for you, it's getting put on the back burner. You see, the longer you spend time getting depressed, the less chance you are of being the person that they wanted you to be. So for example, I still deal with my mom's passing. My mom passed away like 13 years ago. And I can tell you from experience, like, death doesn't make things, like, time doesn't make things easier. Like, I still cry about it. I cried about it today earlier in the morning because I just get triggered. So you will get triggered, and I get triggered. But what's important is not just to wallow in that sadness and then think like, oh, okay, I'm so sad, so I'm not going to do anything about my life. And when I think about it, I think that's what happened with Jordan. Jordan just got so consumed by this sadness. Like I said, I'm sure he had every intention to spend a good 30 years with his husband, and it got robbed from him. I think the husband passed away from a heart attack, but I might be remembering wrong. All I know is I know it was a quick death. I know that it was traumatizing, and I'm pretty sure it was a heart attack. So, it being like that is just, Yeah, it was just maybe he found the body. I'm not too sure, but whatever it is, I think that just his husband dying just had it just shook him off his base, and he just couldn't regain his footing. Let's see over here. Thank goodness. So not Jordan, Jim was able to help his friend who overdosed. Yeah, I find that sometimes people who overdose, I really don't get mad at people who overdose. In fact, I see it as a cry of help. I see it as an attempt to say, oh, I'm in so much pain. I want the pain to go away, and I'm gonna overdose in hopes that the pain goes away. So when a person overdoses, you really shouldn't be angry at them so much. You should really say, hey, you know what? I know that you're in a lot of pain. I know that you thought this was your only way out. However, before you do something like that again, reach out to me, talk to me, that kind of stuff. I want you to be around, because so many people love and support you. And you're feeling, a certain way right now, but if you just believe that it's going to get better. So people who are deeply suicidal, they do get trapped in their own heads. From my experience of seeing people who have been like this, and it is a really tough thing to get out. The only way a deeply suicidal person can get out of a certain situation is they have to want to seek help. For sure, they have to want to seek help, and they want to actually have a sincere change in their life, because for certain issues, when people deal with really tough things, right, they might feel cornered, they might think life will not get better, but I hold on to the belief that life does get better. It's just that it's like a book, a book. So the book is this long, and then over here there's the tough part, right? At the end, we all hope for the happy ending, but I think that if you end anything right over here, you won't know what happens at the end. So people who end their life too soon, it's like, I really believe like things would have turned out all right. And for Jordan, for example, he was through a lot of loss, but I believe that if he just hung in there, and he just reached out to his support system, his family outside of his parents, from my understanding, because I met them, they were blindsided about what happened. They were really hurt about what happened. So if he had reached out to his family and reached out to his friends, I truly believe like he would have realized that there were a lot of people who cared about him. Sometimes we just interact with people, and it might be the people who hurt us, and we think like, oh, because of those few people that we interact with, right, like nobody cares. But in reality, it's not like we just interact with a few people. There's so many people that we meet throughout our lives. But yeah, I really am against the idea of anyone ending their life too soon, and I can say that from personal experience. The people who end their life too soon, they seem that they're doing everybody a favor, but truly, it really haunts the people who survive. Truly, it does. Because then there's questions, did they do it? There's questions about how come they left. There's so many unanswered questions, and if people know that someone's going down a downward spiral, and then they continue, just they just do the act, the point of no return, then the survivors, the people still on this planet will say, it would didn't they know that I love them so much? You know, did they disregard my how much I said I cared about them and I love them and I wanted to be there for them? It's extremely hurtful. It is extremely hurtful. So if anybody has any of those thoughts, I highly, highly encourage to seek help of a therapist. Seek professional help. As a person who did seek professional help, me, it helped me so much. I would have been in like a deep dark pit of despair if I didn't seek help. And I don't think seeking professional help is taboo at all. Some people might think like, oh, you know, it's not good to do that kind of stuff or has a stigma to it. But the way I see it is that we have doctors for if we break our arm, we have doctors if we, you know, we injure ourselves physically. So it makes sense that we have doctors to help us through trauma or psychological issues as well. And it's very important to go with that and give it time to work. And medication, those I've never been on prescription drugs, but I've heard those medications, they take quite some time to work. Like I want to say it's like 1 month or 2 months. So it's important to just hang on there. But when it comes down to it, people have to have this, they have to have a desire to want to have their life get better. And if people do not have that desire, then it's really hard to get. If you, yes, if you talk to a therapist and you tell people that you want to do those kind of things, then they have a obligation to report it. And the reason why they do that is because they say you might, like, if someone reports, right, if someone reports it, they could be seen as the enemy because they would say, oh, I had to be in a 5150 for, let's say, 24 to 72 hours. But the way I see it is a person reported another person because they wanted that person to live another 1 days or 3 days and hopefully get the help that they need to kind of prod them to want to get out of that depression. Yeah, and Ed, you know, you're right. It is hard to get out of a really deep dark thought, for sure. And it's important that either we rely on ourselves or we have a strong support system nudges us out of there. Because from my experience, right, within my head, there are times it's like I get sad and then it just goes darker and darker and darker and darker, and I just have to like myself out of it because I know that if 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 things get if I just get down this whole downward spiral way too long, then it will just go more and more down and it could just get worse. I think, well, it's not saying the wrong thing. It's the fact that when people disclose those kind of things, a healthcare professional or person sees it as a cry for help. So their thinking is that if they feel this way right now, maybe if you hold them for 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours, maybe that's enough for them to say, hey, you know, yeah, that was just a passing thought. I want to get my life back on track. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's enough to joggle a person out, and then they realize like they never ever want to go back to a psych ward again. Emily, I really hope you don't do that. And the reason being is that if anybody does that kind of thing, know that you won't know what is in your future. You'll leave on a note thinking that everything is hopeless. And my belief is that when people pass away, They shouldn't be having these feelings of they just want whatever problem they have, they're suffering to go away. Especially if when they're around people who love and care for them, because that is extremely painful. It is extremely painful when you have people who are rooting for you. If people know about your mental issues, who are rooting for you, and then and that person just decides to end it. And like I said, I can say that from experience. There have been people in my life that I have rooted for immensely, and I spoke to them, and they got 5150. And despite all these things, trying to tell them how much they meant, how much people loved them and cared for them, they still decided to do that. I've also read that there's people who have jumped from the Golden Gate Bridge, and there's been a few people who survived, and a majority of them like never do that again, because they realize, like, at that moment when they're about to do it, they want to live. So, yeah, I know it's heavy stuff, but I think it's important to talk about these sort of things, because sometimes when people are dealing with loss, or they're dealing with heavy issues, or they're dealing with like a really dealing with depression, again, it's hard to get out of it. And some people, they have so much emotional weight in them, or they have so much weight on their shoulders, that they only see one way out. But I refuse to believe that people need to do that kind of thing. I believe that people should hang in there. People should seek help. There's nothing taboo about seeking help. Getting help is, if they can't do it by themselves, reach out to professional. And I can't comment about taking drugs, because I've never taken those drugs. I spoke to a therapist for about a couple months. That was enough for me to find coping methods. I think the thing about the ward that's very trauma. I've never been 5150. I've never been into a psych ward, but I think the thing that lasts with people is they see people who are possibly, in worse condition than them, and they hear people yelling, or they hear people crying, and it trauma them, and they see themselves next to these people, and it can be very emotionally scarring. But the whole idea behind the psych ward, there's this hope that people get better, right? You bring people over to a facility of sorts. They get put on medication. Hopefully, they get some kind of counseling or help, therapy. But stuff does not happen overnight. It takes a long time. So people are supposed to have social workers or psychologists working with them. I think it's not just responsibility for others, but I think that people just hang in there for themselves, because, for instance, right, you don't want to remember the book thing. I don't think people really want to leave their life over here. I think that, like a book, there's like some crappy parts around the book, but at the end, I do truly believe that people have their happy ending. It's just a matter of getting through stuff. So my life, for example, is a lot better right now than it was a couple years ago, back like 5 years ago. Back 5 years ago, I was not in a good place at all. I had a lot of issues, but it was just hanging in there, and then just kind of, it's like I believe something would be better, and just wanting to survive. Yeah, I know that I've heard that going through the psych ward is very traumatizing. Again, I know someone who's been 51. I've known several people who've been 5150, and it's they've all told me like they do not want to go back there again. So, yeah, it's it's but those people, again, the reason why they're over there and the reason why you have doctors over there is that there's this hope that maybe they're going to get better, and there's supposed to be systems in place to encourage them to get better. um, Medications, outpatient follow-up before. I don't know how well the system is, I really don't know, but I do know that there's supposed to be some sort of caseworker or social worker following up occasionally. But really, the only way people can get through tough times is they have to find the strength within themselves, and they have to have the hope that, yeah, tomorrow, today might be crappy, and tomorrow might be crappy, and next week might be crappy, and 2 months could be crappy. But what about a year from now? What about 2 years from now? What if in the future it will be so much brighter? So I know from I know from personal experience that sometimes when people have so much pain in their life, and um, they have so much feelings within them, it's easy to not think about family members. It's easy not to think about people who love and support, because sometimes the pain can be so great. But important is to just snap out of it, or just try to snap out of it. So, for instance, right? I don't know if I shared it with this you guys before, but when I tried out all my animal products, I got very depressed. And my mental health went into a really dark place. And that is the first time in my life that I actually felt like that. And I remember having I had so much like dark thoughts in my mind. And, it's like I couldn't put a feeling on it. I don't know why I felt so depressed, but it was just like this doom and gloom. And it's one of those things. It's just like your your mental health. It's crazy. It's crazy, but it's just like I felt in that moment that it just wasn't, it was like nobody would care, that kind of thing. And thankfully I had the cognizance to like snap myself out of it. But it was really strange for me, because it's like I felt really depressed, and it's like I'm never in that dark in my head. Like I've had some really traumatic stuff happen to me in my life, and it's only when I try to exclude all the animal products from my life, it's like I finally felt that feeling of it just being like a sense of hopelessness and darkness. And again, nothing changed in my life. So that's the reason why you see me as being so outspoken about mental health. Because I recognize that for me, if I try to cut all the animal products in my life, I get a lot of anxiety. I feel really depressed. And although my life didn't change, none of the circumstances around my life changed, it was so much anxiety, and so much gloomy feeling. I believe that everybody, if they hang in there, their life will be better. But they need to want that for themselves, and they need to actually move forward. So it's just wishing that your life gets better, but actually taking the steps for your life to get better. Yeah, so yeah, the medical folks, I think sometimes they get very, I don't want to say, they get kind of numb to certain things, because I think they care a lot. But then depending on having, seeing all that stuff over and over and over again, maybe they just get hardened. You know what, Emily, I'm very happy that you're still alive. I did feel uncertain about my life when I was younger. I I felt like so for instance, right? I shared with you guys, my mom passed away when I was 19 years old. She was really one of the big rocks in my life. She kind of guided me so much. And when she passed away, I felt like I was spiraling out of control. So, but I also recognized that I got really complacent with my life previous to there. So, after, before she passed away, I noticed my grades were basically like B, C student, kind of mediocre in college. And then after she passed away, I remember after she passed away, I kind of looked up statistics. I thought, like, what is the chances of me being up in the head? I was really curious about that. I know people would say, like, Erica, you looked at this stuff, like the day that she passed away, you looked up this stuff. And I said, yeah, I wanted to see what my chances of being a normal human being was. And it was not looking good. It was not looking good. So I tried to do things my own way. It didn't work out. And I had a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, and I saw a therapist. It helped me. But because she passed away, I thought to myself, like, hey, I gotta like buckle down on my. I want to be one of those failures. Like, I do not want. I don't want to like go through college and then like drop out of college, and that's not gonna make my life better. Now, I didn't really form it that way. I just thought, like, I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be one of those statistics where it's like your life gets derailed. So after she passed away, it's like my grades turned into basically A or A minus after that, and it's because like I just wanted to survive. So I was uncertain after she passed away, and then there's been periods of time where it's like, yeah, I full grades, but afterwards, after I graduated from college, like, it's you don't I didn't have that safety net. I didn't have that guidance. So that made me really feel about certain situations because I couldn't have advice. Yeah, you know what? I always think like a lot of things are learning experiences, and I know some people be like, Erica, learning experiences. Yeah, there's been times where I messed up in my life, but having those every little wrong step made me a more knowledgeable person. And then when I did gain that knowledge and I did gain that wisdom, I made sure I shared it with other people. So sometimes I know people would say, Erica, why do you make videos about this stuff? I think about it this way. Right now I'm 32 years old. This is the stuff that I picked up. If it helps one person who's watching this video to just kind of, maybe it'll be in the back of their head one day, then that it's completely worth it. Oh, yeah, I am in the Discord actually. I don't know what the link for the Rothman Repair Group Discord is. But I really stay too long in there. I just kind of like look at there for like a little bit, and I get like so many messages that kind of gets hidden away. Let's see here. Yeah, so the thing that helps me when I get into a really dark place, and I still have those kind of things where I get lost in my headspace. I've touched upon this in like previous videos as well. Like, I recognize that when people get depressed or when they're in a bad mood, it maybe takes a small issue and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the only way to break out of it is to just kind of either break the cycle or recall energy on something else. So for me, whatever's making me depressed, I try to figure out a way to like reduce it. Like, if I want something, right, I need to work towards that insecurity rather than just like let it go through my head. So for instance, right, let's say if I was overweight by 100 pounds, right, I could have a lot of depression over it, and I can just think like, oh, I'm overweight, I'm 100 pounds overweight, and 3 months ago I was only 70 pounds, and now I'm 100 pounds overweight, and I'm just going to get lost in my head bigger. But the only way to break that is say, okay, I'm done, I'm done gaining the weight. I want to actually start losing weight. And then every time you start losing weight, each 1 pound or 2 pounds, you just keep working at it. Your brain doesn't focus on how much of how bad you're feeling, because you're working actively towards a goal. So when you have someone who passes away, you're going to feel like a lot of loss, and you're going to feel a lot of confusion. But instead of like getting wrapped up in there and like letting yourself go, think, what would that person want me to do? Because a lot of people who pass away, if this is someone that you loved and they loved you, they wouldn't want you to just spiral out of control. So yeah, therapists work, but they only help so much. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like they don't they are not they don't give you, they kind of try to form healthier outlooks on things. So for me, going to a therapist, I don't really think I need to go to a therapist right now. I think I have pretty good coping method, and feeling depressed, having anxiety, that kind of thing, it's completely normal. Nobody goes through their life all happy, happy, happy. We go through tough times. The important is that we feel and we know that we're not alone in these kind of issues. Definitely reach out to people, tell them about your issues, and you'll find out that people are supportive and they actually want you to. And I think that some people, they get so lost in their headspace that they think that they think that maybe people don't care about them, but actually people do care. They might just be thinking that everything's okay. But yeah, Emily, I hope that you move forward with your life and you try to, you find something that you can run towards in the future that gets you out of, what is it?
Oh, I was gonna say hi.
Oh, hello there. What? What? I was doing my talk direction. And now, okay, so do you
And
have
now I've
any,
depressed her.
do you have anything that you want to add to my thing? No? What? You're just gonna show your face here?
Just here for the ratings, really.
What? I don't need your face over here. Look at Clinton over here. Clinton, what is this? The influencer stream? Come on now. Come on. Well, I don't even got the real influencer over here. I think he's still sleeping on the job. Thank you, Shai. So Shai said, funding for my favorite influencers. I guess you might be considered one of the favorite influencers.
See, I showed up and money appeared.
Oh, whatever.
That's about
Whatever.
it.
I'm
Point
gonna.
taken?
What?
Point made.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So for anybody who wants to do those kind of things because of breaking up with someone, can you pause that really quick or use headphones, please? Okay. So if anybody wants to do that kind of thing because of a breakup, I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a good reason why people broke up, and I think that's a signal. It's a signal that you'll find someone better. I think that when people go through breaks up, very, very traumatic, and it can be very painful. But from my experience, like all my exes that I've had, they've met people who were a good fit for them after my exes and I were sad that we broke up, but tends to be like the one after me was the one that they ended up getting married to, or the one that they got engaged to. Yeah, I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they were able to find a really good partner. And so I don't see breakups as a terrible thing. It's like a be all end all. I think of it as an opportunity to find who is a better fit. Oh, thank you, Jim. Yeah, I'm just curious, like why 35? Because God would want you to live past 35. You know, God would want you to live a very happy and fulfilling life. And I believe that people are put on this earth for a reason. And my belief is that people are put on this earth to make the world a better place. Um, and just to add positively. So right now, let's see. So right now you are 27 years old. I was messed up big time when I was 27 years old. I was really messed up. Yeah, it's like if I had to think back, it's yeah, going through your 20s can be extremely rough. A lot of things happen in the 20s, and I feel like in the 30s or 40s, that's when people feel comfortable with themselves mostly, and then 50s when people feel more calmer. So 20s, 27, that's yeah, I think that whatever difficulties you're facing right now, if you just keep at it, it's gonna work itself out. There's a lot that happens after 35. A lot. But yeah, the 25s are the 20s, and can be pretty brutal. A lot of things happen in the 20s. You know, people have this pressure about getting settling down, dating, getting married, jobs. Yeah, it's yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. But 35 is really way too short. I don't think when I think about life, I think that you shouldn't put like a timeline on it. You should say, hey, think about how quickly life went through. Like when I think about it, like I'm 32 right now. Like me going from let's say 7 years old to 32, that happened really quickly. I can't believe it's been, let's see, it's been like 15 years since I graduated high school. Yeah, like 15 years is pretty insane. So yeah, so Cubic says the funnies are when adult problems hit you first and you're not prepared to set up yet. So when people are dealing with funnies, right? It's like I mentioned, right? That's when you get your job. That's when people usually date, or they're starting dating around that period of time. They're settling down, or they're not settling down, or they have pressure to settle down. The 20s can be a very turbulent time. My 20s were not easy. I went through a lot of stuff in my 20s. You know what? I think Suki, you said you have a weird fear that you'll never be capable, independent, and functional adults. Whatever you're insecure about, or whatever makes you fearful, work at that. You know, tackle it head on. If you're fearful that you don't have the skills to be good at your job, let's say, then learn those skills. Like I don't know, like some people who are, I don't know, programmers. You know, like work on that kind of stuff. I find that sometimes when we have like insecurities about things, we just magnify it so much in our heads, and then we make it a much bigger issue, and then the anxiety can be absolutely crippling, and then the anxiety stemmed with depression as well just makes us feel like absolute losers. So it's important to like whatever we're insecure about, whatever we're fearful about, like tackle it head on. Not all the way, but just like small little chunks, and then you'll feel more confident, and then you'll realize that it's less of a fear, and you'll feel more confident about yourself. Remember that there are a lot of people who also feel that same way. They're worried about them being capable and functional, but it seems to work out. We look at people older than us, and we think like, wow, they're okay. And that's something that kind of has to work itself out. I mean, the problems work themselves out with time. Yeah, the job market can be absolutely You know what the thing is, Emily? The dangerous thing about 5 thing is this. If you are dealing with heavy depression, like I was dealing with heavy depression for a number of years in my life, you hear about the number. Like if I had to put myself back on how I felt like bad, you hear about a number and then you think, okay, I have this goal that I'm gonna be at like this in 5 years, and then you set that goal 1 year ago, and then you look back and you're like, yeah, 1 year ago, and I'm still dealing with all this depression. Man, I'm such a I'm such a loser. I'm such a failure. And then you get stuck in that depression, and then like another year passes. You see, until you're able to resolve the emotional issues, it's like if you can't get out of your headspace, time is going to creep right up on you. So it's very, very important to address psychological issues. And I had that. I if I don't check myself, like I said, it's easy for me to get lost in my head. So our minds can be absolute, but it can also be our worst enemy. So yeah, I know that that's one of the reasons why I've been kind of transparent about my things. If you follow my channel, you will see that like I portray how my life really is, and I have these insecurities. I've been very open about these insecurities. I have these like fears in my brain. I have this pressure on myself as well. You see me stumble and you see me trying to move forward. And the reason why I'm open about this, I know people would say, this portrays me in a bad light. Like I should keep this kind of stuff private, but I really don't have anything to gain. I'm not helping the world out if I just keep things quiet. And I think sometimes when we see people on YouTube or we see people on social media, they always try to portray like a picture perfect thing about themselves. Like they never try to share like how much of a struggle things are until like after it's like way gone, right? Like you hear about people, they'll say like, oh yeah, I used to be 50 pounds heavier, but now look how fabulous my body is, that kind of thing. So I think the journey is very important, and with the journey there's always going to be stumbles. Like life is not like this. Most people's lives are not like this. It's like you go up and then you go down, and you might go more down, but then you go back up and then you go up, kind of like a stock, kind of like you hope it goes up, but then a stock goes up and down. But the idea is that if you have faith in a stock or faith in yourself, even though you go up and down, you still have faith that you're going to ride out the difficulties, and at the end of it you'll be all right, or you'll be in a much better place. Oh, Oriole's sleeping, I think he's too tired. I think that I think of it this way. When people think about themselves, right? I really believe that people want people to think favorably of them. You people don't go through life and think like I went through all this work in life. I went through all these things just to have people kind of be like, oh, that was so sad about what happened to them, that kind of thing. It's like we always want to end things on a high note. And I think it's better to just be like, you know what, this person went through issues throughout their life, but you know what, they're still surviving. And with wisdom of being in a really bad place, they're able to help people who used to be in that place. So I think that's why it's extremely important that if you're in a dark place, to get out of it, and then not just and just like have hope. And then when you are in a better place, I'm not saying like 100% better place, but when you are in a better place, look back and say, this is where I was before, and it was in a real place, but now I'm in a little better place, so I know my life is getting a little better. And then once you're at that little better place, like go set like higher goals, have more things and that way you have something to look forward to in life. There's so many things in life that that we can look forward to. I mean, people have hobbies, people learn things, people meet other people grow, people work on themselves. And from my experience, it's like when people do not take care of themselves, like that's one of the really big things. Like the people that do not take care of themselves, they stop taking care of themselves, they're more prone to staying in a depressed state. When it comes down to it, I think that people want to feel value within themselves, and if they don't feel like they're investing in themselves, then they think that they're losers. So it's important to do the whole self-care thing, and that's what I've always been preaching, right? Take care of yourself, do the moisturizers, do the serums. I know it sounds like a really like fickle thing to say, but when I wake up, after I wake up, I brush my teeth, I cleanse my face, I put on the serums and moisturizers. That signals to my brain, Erica, you take care of yourself. You care about yourself. You're hoping that tomorrow or in the future you're still gonna be good. You're preserving what you have, or you hope that you're gonna look better in the future. So it's like those small little actions, those little facial massages and everything. It doesn't seem like much, but once you get into the routine, your brain signals to it like, I do care about myself. I do want myself to be in a better place. I think of it this way, Emily. What do you want people to think of you? When people think about you, do you want to leave on a note where people say, man, this is what happens. I have like a million questions that I like to ask Emily, or would you rather leave it as, Emily went through some really tough times, but she got out of it. She got into a better place, and she used her time on Earth to help people who are struggling. Because I believe that a lot of people in the world struggle with anxiety. They just struggle with depression. They struggle with mental illness. And when people get better, I feel like they really should help people who are still struggling or who are in a worse off position. Because we, as a world, as people who live in this world, we shout each other, not just be so like, okay, where I'm in my lane and I just focus on me. I don't want to live a life where I just care about myself. I don't. And I think that more people um, do care about other people, but it's hard sometimes for people to express that. What is it, Clinton? What do you want to say? You want to say something to Emily? What? Okay, I think Clinton said that, but I can't translate that for you. Clinton's over here, and yeah, I don't know how to translate this, but you can see his tail right here. Clinton. He wants pets. He wants pets and greenies probably. I really do believe that people go through difficulties to strengthen their personal character. And then when they do have that strength comes knowledge and wisdom. And people should share that wisdom to uplift other people who are in it, who are still stuck in that headspace. I think so, Emily. You say that you don't know what people think about you. Ask people. Ask people around you. What do you think about? Find out that people will say, you're really smart, or you have a big heart, and they'll probably have positive things to say about you. Or if they do have anything negative to say about you, you can use that as constructive criticism. I've heard people tell me that they think I'm dumb, and I'm like, okay, next. False. False. So it's not that. Okay, so I'm gonna so you say that people don't like it when other people kill themselves because it might be an inconvenience to them. That's not it. Not, it's because people have this natural tendency to root people on. and we want all our loved ones to last for a really long time. So when people pass away and they that kind of stuff, it it's like people don't want to people don't want people to lead their lives. That's what it comes down to. Like if you love someone and you care for them and they pass away in untimely death and it was by their own hand, you're going to wonder like, why did you do that? You know, I was supporting you, I was rooting for you. And it just, it's like they feel like this loss because they wanted us to be by their side. You know, they wanted to have this person in their life for many, many, many years, and that time was cut short. So Emily, you know what, as long as you see the light, as long as you believe in yourself and you work at yourself, and I don't know if you do skincare, but I'm going to recommend doing that because that helped my mental health. It helped me because I'm like every day I'm working towards taking care of my skin a little bit more. But yeah, try do, small little self-care things. I used to make fun of people who did that kind of stuff. I used to be like, why are they so full of themselves? But now I realize it's starting the day off with like, I care about me and I want to look good and I want to make sure that I'm my skin is healthy for many, many years to come. So it's like those kind of things. It's very good for the brain. It's very good to send this, I'm doing actions to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. But I will be rooting for you and I'll be looking for you on my streams. I know you don't show up on my streams, Emily, but I really, I really am rooting for you. And I root for everybody who is watching my streams or watching my channel. And because I think that mental health and depression is something that with time you can work through it. And then some of these issues, right? Some of these issues, you'll find ways to it resolve itself, or you'll find well. But there's really no reason for us to end our lives in timely fashion. There really isn't. There's just so much more to life, and there's so much things that we can do with life. And even the people. Oh, hold on. Okay, I will see you, Ed. Take care. You know why? You know why people want people to stick around? It's because they love them, and they say that, you know what, you're in a lot of mental pain right now, but they hope that their love and their support pulls people out of it. So that's why when people end it very timely, it has a profound um, effect on them. So yeah, has a profound effect on them. It's not that they're full of themselves or anything like that. And I understand that, Emily. I understand what your process is. But what I believe is that it's like it's like having a book and you don't know what's at the next page, because for people who do things in an untimely fashion, it's like you won't know. So you won't know exactly how the next day would be, or how life could be dramatically different. So yeah, I mean, I truly believe, like, as long as people take care of themselves mentally, physically, and they have hope, that and they work actively at it, they're gonna find themselves in a better place. Never. If you are struggling with certain insecurity issues, for instance, if you are dealing with loss, because someone passed away, just hold on. What would that person want for you? And they wouldn't wish you failure. If you are dealing with like insecurity because of, let's say, weight gain, right? Work towards losing weight slowly but surely, and push yourself forward. I think Rome wasn't built in a day. A lot of these issues, like some of these issues that people go through, it takes a long time to get through it. Some people are in heavy debt, and they have this debt for a number of years, but they just kind of think, okay, I'm going to slowly tackle my debt, slowly but surely. but I really do believe, I really believe that that a lot of these things need is just a little bit more time. And life when you go through such really crappy times, it makes the good times seem a lot more. Yep, you gotta take it one step at a day. That's the only way to do things, right? That's how life is. Everybody's going through a journey in life, and we're all just taking it one day at a time. And we all hope that tomorrow is gonna be a better day than today. We all hope that. I believe that also people are rooting for other people. You know, um, people who are good people. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so I think that's about all I wanted to say. If you are dealing with loss, again, think about the person who passed away and think about what they would want you to do. You know, take a step back, because I've been in the situation where I had someone who I loved immensely and they passed away, and I spent years of my life and I still deal with the grief today. And it's like, I think that if I had just held on to the whole thing, like what would they have wanted me to do? I would have shortened my amount of depression that was going through that loss for sure. And then with Jordan, he just kind of gave up on his life because he didn't kind of ground himself and say, it's a lot of pain dealing with someone who passed away, and I understand that pain. Like, that pain doesn't really resolve itself. You find a new normal, and you find a new coping thing, but you will always have triggers. It could be something like a certain smell. It could be something like like a specific kind of piece of clothing, or it could be like flowers. Like, those could all be trigger things. But even though the sadness doesn't go away completely, we can use that sadness as motivation to better ourselves and say, you know what, this person passed away, but let me lead a life that they would be proud of and they would cheer me on. Because people who pass away, I really don't believe that they're gone forever. I think that they're invisible, but they're watching, and they want the best for us, and they're cheering for us, and they're saying, I'm no longer with you, but know that I still love you and I still support you and I still wish the best for you until we meet again. But of course, your loved ones don't want you to come, see them like right away. I think our loved ones want us to lead a long, healthy, successful life, and then when our time is up, naturally by God's hands, then we'll all be reunited one day. And hopefully by the time that that happens, which is hopefully a very, very long time from now, then we can look back at our lives and say, hey, you know what? I've accomplished a lot in my life, where I helped make the world a better place. I gained so much knowledge, and I helped uplift the world. And yeah. So, and also know that nobody is alone. So if you are dealing with depression, if you're dealing with anxiety, know that you're not alone. You're not the only person in the world dealing with this. And there's so many people who are struggling with this, who continue to struggle with this. And it's important to reach out. And sometimes people in depression, and I can tell you this from personal experience, like, you get really lost in your head super easily, and then you lose track of time, or you start getting this like dark cloud of negative thoughts, and it's really hard to get rid of. It really is. It was really hard for me to like stop that train of thought. And the only way I can stop that train of thought is think, okay, all this negative stuff, how can I tackle it? And for me, like, if someone is insecure about weight, then the way they can tackle it is to go on a diet plan and stick to it, and say the only way you can get rid of this dark cloud is start shedding the pounds, so this dark cloud gets smaller and smaller and smaller. When this cloud gets smaller, the insecurity turns into confidence. And that's why you see certain people, as they work on themselves, they become more confident because they're able to say, screw you, insecurity. I'm going to kick your butt, and I'm going to make sure that I turn this insecurity into confidence that I can tackle goals. And you can use that confidence to tackle other insecurities because you've already tackled one insecurity. See where I'm getting at? So we always need to look forward. We need to reach out to people. And if you're struggling, know that you're not alone. And there are people struggling worse who could definitely use the support. I don't see depression. I don't see anxiety. I as taboo subjects. I see it as a way to reach out to people and encourage them. And like as a team, like everybody get to a better place. Everybody move forward. It saddens me when it saddens me immensely. It saddens me immensely, and I still know all the people who passed away in an untimely manner, and I always think what was around the corner for them, and I miss having them in my life because they were. It's like you don't want that kind of stuff for a person. You want a person to live a long, healthy, happy life, and yeah. Um, yeah, so again, like the reason why therapists ask that stuff is they want to gauge, is do you just want to talk, or do you have something in your brain that could manifest itself if right after it. So they kind of want to say, on a level of 1 to 10, how should they handle you as like, oh, you're a little bit sad, or should they handle you as like, oh, 5150? That's why they ask this kind of stuff. But if a therapist doesn't work for you, again, just find another therapist, because like teachers, you got good teachers and you got bad teachers. What the most important thing is that you find something that works for you. So if you get a therapist that is crappy, get another therapist. And Emily, you should reach out to Zare's Coin. If you want to put your Discord, Zare's, feel free to do that. And the other thing that you could do as well is seek another therapist. If your therapist isn't working for you, go to a support group, because people who deal with depression, sometimes they feel very alone. They feel very alienated. I know I feel that when I get super depressed, but I just kind of like have to jot myself into like, Erica, okay, you're not the only one dealing with this. Remember, forward, forward, forward. Yeah, exactly. So, Kubik said that their grandfather died, but he inspired him, as a part of him is still alive in his brain, and I want to continue on that legacy. The only way people stay alive and the only way people can be remembered is in people's minds. So for me, it's like I try to, like for me, my mom passed away, and she had a profound impact on my life, and it was very sad that she passed away in an untimely fashion. But I try to remember, what kind of woman she was, and I try to remember the good times, and I use that as fuel to move forward. So even though I'm sad about her death, I think like, she was put on this earth for a reason, and I took a lot of inspiration from her. I saw the way she treated people. I saw the way she treated herself, and I would be doing a disservice to myself if like everything she taught me and everything that she tried to teach me just goes to waste. See, so she always did like things. She always took care of herself. She exercised. She did face serum. She did moisturizers. Now the thing is that when I started doing this stuff, I didn't think about my mom. I really didn't. But now it's like I started thinking about my mom, and then I remember thinking like in the back of my head, yeah, she did take care of. She did use the serum. She did moisturize. She did exercise, and that gives me motivation to continue onwards, because when I do see my mom, hopefully many years to come, well, maybe when I'm like 80 or 90 years old, maybe 100, 110 years old, I want to say, you know what, thank you, mom. Thank you, mom, for um, guiding me. So yeah. Oh, look, I'm like teary-eyed about it. So yeah, this is like proof that even though someone can pass 13 years ago, it's hard. You know, it can be hard. It can be hard to move on, and there still will be pain, but it's important to just move forward. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely have to talk those things out. You definitely have to. I find that sometimes if you're depressed and you just keep again, there's like no outlet for release. So it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger in your head. So talk things out, seek therapists, make decisive moves moving forward. It's not you know what, I think, Emily, people say this stuff because people want people want to reach out to other people. You know, it's like we've all been through really dark times. We've all gone through our own crap, and when people feel like they're in a better place, or when they feel like they're stronger, they say, you know what, I've understand. You know, I used to be in that shitty place. I used to have those kind of like dark thoughts, and I'm here because someone else was here for me. You know, it's kind of like passing the baton, or passing the hand out. So if someone helped me out through dark times, I remember that, and then when I get the strength, I help someone. And that's how things should be. Hold on. That's how things should be. It shouldn't be just like, okay, I'm in a better place, someone helped me out, and yeah, that's when we are in a better place in terms of like mentally, or when we go through issues, we can use that wisdom, we can use that support that we learned, we got from other people in the past on. And that's how we make the world a better place. It's all about supporting people. It's all about, making sure that we all rise higher, or we try to. People want to help each other out naturally, and I believe that as citizens of the earth, we should all, you know come together, kind of thing. So I know, like, the way I seem is just, I see people and I hold on to that kind of thing, and I don't see flaws as really bad things. I see it as, people are human. People are human. People have their issues, and we all go through grief. And some people, they have more knowledge, or they have more experience going through crap than other people. Like someone who is older than me has more coping abilities than I do, for sure. I think it's hard for people to think about being suicidal without being depressed, because people would say someone is suicidal is because they lose all hope in themselves, or they feel like they have no purpose in life. Um, and everybody, in my opinion, has a purpose in life, or they will find their purpose in life. Everybody who was put on this earth was put on here for a reason. So for people, I think that the people, if someone is thinking like that, and they are not depressed, then that to me, like, the way I take it is that they feel like they have no purpose, that their life is meaningless or worthless. So they need to, they really should try and find their purpose, find something that they enjoy, and run with it. Like, people can help each other out immensely. Immensely. Emily, what you should do is you should probably do what I do, which is I think about myself and I think what kind of person do I want to be in the future. And that image, like, think about it. Like, if what would you, well, how do you see yourself in the future? What are your hopes and dreams for yourself in the future? And then try and see an image of yourself in your mind and run with that. Like, if you see yourself, like, for instance, right? If you see yourself as like a person who runs a business, but you're not there yet, but you want to run a business, then immerse yourself into whatever business you want to run, or that kind of field. If we take definitive steps into being that person that we see ourselves, then that, in my opinion, just propels us forward. But it's important to kind of say, like, what person do you want to be in the future? What do you see yourself being, or how do you view yourself? Do you view yourself as a person, let's say, a person who travels the world and helps people in poor countries, or do you see yourself as like owning a bakery, or do you see yourself, being a philanthropist and helping out, let's say, orphan children? To have a family to love and to love me, that's my purpose and goal. Okay, so here's the thing that, okay, so I'm assuming that, are you dating anybody, Emily? I'm just gonna ask that question.
Emily is dating someone, yes.
Huh? Really?
You should pay attention to your viewers, Erica.
She says no.
Oh. She's
God.
lying, Erica.
Oh, whatever.
I the last stream.
Oh, I think you're reading another Emily. Okay. So from my experience about dating is this. It's gonna be hard finding someone to love you unless you love yourself. And that's the reality of it. So for me, when I look at my early 20s, I look back and I thought I was, attractive and everything, but I had really low self-confidence. I didn't love myself. Although I was meeting people, it's like they weren't attracted to me because they thought, this chick has to find herself. She has to find who she is or who she wants to be. And I feel like it's until you kind of find your purpose, or you find what you like, and you find that confidence and love for yourself, that's when people are going to be more magnetized to you. You get what I'm saying? Like, people, you cannot go out and then try to find someone who loves you. You have to love yourself first. And it's a tough thing to say, but it's like when you invest in yourself and people see that you're investing in yourself, then people will be, like I said, people will be drawn to that, and they're going to say, I want to be around a person like that. That kind of person cares for themselves, they respect each other, people, and you might see those kind of people, like, they just glow. I've met a few women like that in my life. They obviously take care of themselves, and yeah. So when you love yourself, when you invest in yourself, that's when you're gonna attract people who are ready to love you. Because I think it's important for someone to love themselves first before they can exchange love. If you like rush into a relationship or something like that, let's say you find a person and you end up in a relationship, that person is gonna feel exhausted if they try to keep telling you, like, I love you so much, why won't you love yourself? So we all need to love ourselves, and we all have flaws. We all work on that kind of stuff as well. Yeah, if you self-loathe, then it makes it hard for people to love you. I think that criticizing yourself is a healthy thing. Like, everybody has flaws. I have flaws for sure. But you can take it as, like, let's say, again, like, if I had a weight issue, right? I could, like, I'm really fat, I'm such a loser because I'm, let's say, overweight. I could, instead of self-loathing, I could say, you know what, this is my this is something that I'm insecure about, this is something I hate about myself. And instead of just kind of going this whole thing like I'm fat, I'm a loser, blah blah blah, nobody loves me, I can use that as fuel to say, you know what, I want to be thinner, so I'm going to work at being thinner, and I'm going to see where I run with that. So that's why you have some people, right, they lose like 70 pounds of weight, 50, 70 pounds of weight, and then you got all these people who are cheering them on. They're like, you see that person, they're losing the weight, wow, it's so great. And then they end up in a relationship because they say, you know, I used to be miserable and I used to be in my head, and I used to, and now I'm losing the weight, and people are drawn to me because I love myself. So that's the beauty of working on yourself. When you work on yourself, you're investing in yourself, you love yourself. And I'm not saying that one of the whole thing like I'm such a loser so I got to lose weight, either that I'm really worthless. I'm saying like put it as, okay, I'm here right now, this is reality, but I want to be better. I sincerely want to be better because I want to live the life that I want to live. And when you go towards that direction, people are going to notice it, and they're going to say, you know what? I like that person. I like that person's mindset. They want to better themselves. I want to be with a person who loves themselves and betters themselves. And that tends to be the people who are in successful relationships, or in relationships where like lovely relationships. That's what I'm trying to get at. So yeah, just don't even think about the relationships. I know it means a lot to me. When I was in my 20s, I used to be so messed up. I used to be messed up because I could not find a boyfriend for the life of me. I don't think I started dating until I was like 22, 23. And um, I know some people would say, Erica, that's so young, but here's the thing. Like it's because that prior to that, even though I was meeting people, like nobody wanted to be in a relationship with me because I think I would just reeked of insecurity. I reeked of insecurity. And they would see other people, they would see other women who loved themselves, and I didn't love myself, and people could pick up on that, and that's why they're like, you know what, Erica's a nice chick, but I don't want to date her. You know, I don't want to date her. She's not at the level that I want to be at. And that's the other thing too. Like people talk about standards, and everybody should have standards. Everybody absolutely should have standards, not only for other people but also themselves. And when people are thinking about dating other people, really close your eyes, right? You want to be with a person. Most people, they want to be with a person who works on themselves, who strives to be better every day, and serves as a motivation to serves as a good role model for kids, right? I think like whatever I do, I try to think about it this way. Like if I had kids, right? Am I going down a path that I would want my kid to be like? Okay, like I want my kid, like I'm volunteering now. I want to volunteer, and then when I have kids, I want the kid to volunteer with me. And I want to say like, hey, you know what? Let's volunteer. Let's make a difference in the world. So when people are looking for to date other people, they also are looking for people who they feel would be good parents, who would be who would be like, okay, you know, I've been through some issues, but I'm always trying to work on myself, trying to grow. And role models, like you, kids are like sponges, so it's very important that parents are ideally have a good headspace, you know, ideally have really good ways of coping. It's a lot of responsibility to be a parent, in my opinion. Some people are just naturally good at parents. Maybe I'm overthinking parenting, but yeah. Yeah, I do think that if we have dark thoughts, it's not from God. I believe that as well. I do believe that, you know, the negative thoughts prevent us from being in the image or the path that God wants us to be as well. So staying too long in the headspace, although it can't be helped, okay, depression comes to everybody, anxiety comes to everybody, insecurity comes to everybody too. We always have to manage that. We always have to manage it, and if you have trouble managing it, talk to a support group, rely on the support system, seek a therapist. If the therapist doesn't work, kick the therapist to the curb, get another therapist. Just remember, therapists are good teachers and you got bad teachers.
When I suck. That's interesting. I suck, but I'm still a higher level than my team, and we have 6 more kills than deaths. So my team is being check.
So
My team sucks.
yeah, I think I'm going to go and take a shower because my hair is looking a little oily over here. Oh my goodness. I don't know. There's something about this bang over here that just frustrates me. And I really need to sleep earlier and dry my hair so my hair doesn't look like I sleep with wet hair, which I have been doing lately. So, yeah, let's see. Exactly. So Emily, God did make you. God gives you strength, and then also God loves you. I know that's really, but God loves you, and God supports you, and God roots for you. So whenever you have problems, you can always pray to God. You can always, rely on your support system as well. But if you believe, and I know some people aren't religious, this is why I'm saying that, but if you believe that God, if God created you, then also hold on to the belief that God has a greater plan for you as well. And again, I'm just phrasing it that way because some people in this stream are not religious and they don't believe in God. I personally believe that there is a God out there, and I do believe that we all have purpose, and we just need to believe that every we're put on this, and all the hardships that we go through, we're not alone, and we can use that hardship to help out other people. If you are people who have struggled through, let's say, getting a job. Some people say that they've been struggling to get a good, some people, they struggle getting a job, and then they end up as like an executive of some company, and then they give advice to people who are struggling. They were like, hey, just work your way up, or just keep working at it and look for opportunities, or always expand yourself, or always learn things, that kind of thing. So people who are in a better position, in my opinion, really should help out people who are a little behind. And nobody is on the top tier position. We all have like some things that we're better than other people, right? So some people have better ability at this, and we have better ability at this, but we can always just help each other out, and that way we're all going higher and higher. Yep, we definitely can work through tough times, and we definitely should remember we're not alone. We're all on the same planet. We all help each other out. We all wish for each other to do better. And if you need, ask for it. Ask for it. There have been times where I've reached out to people and I ask for help, and there's times that I have like moments of weaknesses as well. And it's not to be embarrassed about, because that's how life is. And with all the stuff that we go through in our life, I think it makes us a more kinder, compassionate, and stronger person. So if you ever are going through, let's say, addictions or something like that, know you're not the only one, and know that you can get through it. You just need to believe in it. You just need to believe in yourself. You need to love yourself. You need to invest in yourself. Have a plan. Stick with that plan. If you get off the plan, go back on it, because it's like people who go on a diet, right? You relapse. You have this plan, like you're gonna eat clean for the next 30 days, and then you screw up the next day. It's like, okay, just go back on it. The most important thing is that you have this goal, you're working through the goal, and even if it's not perfect, you can always just kind of redo the plan so you get closer to your goal. But I hold on to the belief that everybody in this world has a purpose in life. The people who have gone over to the other side are rooting for us, and they're like, come on, live the best life you can. We're rooting for you. We want to see you in the next like 60 years or something. Um, and when I think about it, it's like our ancestors, right? Our ancestors went through so much crap. Like they went through so much crap to ensure that we are at the place that we are now. So I firmly believe like my ancestors are like, come on, Erica, get moving towards life. Come on. Yeah. So, and I'm going to end with the note that everybody continue to love yourself, invest in yourself, and if you struggle finding purpose in life, immerse yourself in all sorts of things and you will find something that sticks. What I find really well about finding the humanity in people is volunteering. Now, I've been pretty open about that. With volunteering, you end up with some crappy people. Some crappy people. You guys know, like, I haven't had the best volunteering, but I know that I'm helping people out. And I see other people helping other people out. And that's the thing that I hold on to. Like, if you care about the community and you help people out, beautiful thing. And that's what I believe in the world we were meant to do. We were meant to just help others out, uplift each other, love each other, and yeah. So yeah, you know what, Emily, and everybody else, Sir Repetitious, and everybody else who is struggling with mental health issues. I still have issues as well. I still go through periods of depression. I still have other things that I'm working through. We're all rooting for each other. Okay, we're not all like separate people. We are all rooting for each other, and I hope that everybody moves forward with their goal themselves. It's been incredibly life yeah, it's been incredibly life changing for me when I started loving myself. It was really hard for me because I saw the flaws, and once I started loving myself, I realized like there was a lot more good stuff happening in my life. But it all had to start with me changing my outlook on myself. Thank you, Shy. Thank you. So yeah. Yeah, you know what, Surreptitious, once you start volunteering, you're gonna realize that, yeah, you volunteers make an incredible difference in the world. And you see these, like, you see it, just like one small action makes the world a brighter place. And I used to volunteer with animals. I remember it's like you see these animals and you're like, I want you to get adopted. And then when they do get adopted, it's just such a beautiful thing. It's like where the dog go, oh, it got adopted. It's like, oh, yes, yes, yes. And then when you feel like you had a part in that, or even if it was something simple as like handing out, refilling brochures or answering front desk. Organizations only thrive through volunteers. So even if you don't work directly with a dog, your actions help that dog get adopted, right? You helped intake a person, you helped them fill out an adoption form, or you walked them over the dog, or you picked up the dog's poop, or all those little things are definitely very, very important. So if you are not directly interacting with animals, just know you still have a very important role when it comes to volunteering. All these little puzzle pieces are very important to make any organization function very well. So yeah, I will pray for you guys all. I hope that people continue on the path of finding purpose, loving each other, and I hope that 2020, I almost said 2020, 2021 is a better year for all of us. Yeah, go put in that request. Tell people that you want to watering and feeding and cleaning. I can't imagine too much people being all like, yeah, I want to help out with the cleaning too much. Yep. And remember, whatever difficulties you are encountering in life, you're gonna get through it. And the hardships that we go through make us a much stronger person, a wiser person, a more knowledgeable person, and we can use that experience to help out other people. I know everybody has gone through hardships in life. I know that for a fact. We've all gone through our trials and tribulations, and past it seems a lot smaller, or like we still remember it, but we feel like we're farther than from where whatever thing that we went through it is. Okay, you guys, I'll talk to you guys later. See you.